Yeah.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, geeks and nerds and ambassadors everywhere, and welcome back to the Ambassadorial Wing and another installment in Sci-Fi Review. And with me tonight, I've got my friend, your friend, you know him, you love him. He is a huge fan of the 49ers, and his Niners are doing very, very well this evening. Brian, Master of Noms, or as I call him, Brian, Master of None. So, and tonight we are continuing our review series on the new Trek films, and tonight we are going into darkness with Star Trek Into Darkness. And if this is your first visit, or if you are a regular visitor to the Ambassadorial Wing, hope you enjoy your time here. And if you do enjoy your time and you are a new visitor and you have not hit that subscribe button, do so. Help out the channel. Hit that notification bell so you get all the latest updates whenever I go live. Because here on the Ambassadorial Wing, we don't bemoan pop culture. We celebrate it. And it's good to have Brian, it's good to have you back, my friend. And
I'm glad to be here.
Nice to have somebody to go into the darkness with. So I'm going to have a lot of these tonight.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
And to everybody that's in the chat, whether you're lurking or whether you're active, it is good to see you all. And to the chat, I love food, and tis I, Cherie, and I love food. It is good to see you both. Thank you for popping by this evening. Hope you all enjoyed the stream. Make sure you smash the ever-loving heck out of that like button. Push that like button if you want to go into a warp speed into some awesomeness as we go into darkness. Anyway, that all being said, let's jump right in. Let's talk this thing Star Trek Into Darkness. Brian, my friend, where would you like to begin?
Okay. This was the first movie that I ever hardcore speculated on, and actually went on like websites for scoops for. Benjamin Harrison was supposed to be the bad guy, played by Benedict Cumberbatch, but somehow he wasn't. It was all a lie. And it was from that moment onward, I learned not to trust J.J. Abrams when it came to trust me. You know what I mean?
Indeed.
So, that being said, and then I forgot when Last Jedi came out about the speculation. And
2017.
Yeah, that was terrible. But anyways, overall, my first impressions of this movie, I drove 2.5 hours to go visit an old friend, and we were watching it, and about 75 to 80% of the way through the movie, I almost wanted to get out, but I was with an old friend.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've watched this movie several times since. It's a solid movie. It has parts that make me cringe really hard, and make me rethink my position in life. And then it makes me want to go watch Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan.
That is true.
I loved the casting in this movie once again. The addition of Alice Eve as Dr. Marcus, or as Carol Marcus, who was another misdirect.
Dr. Wallace.
Yeah. And then freaking Peter Weller. I mean, you can't get enough Peter Weller.
You cannot go wrong with Peter Weller. I mean, this is the guy that played Sergeant Murphy or Officer Murphy from RoboCop. He
Frickin'
also
RoboCop.
played. He also did the voice of, I think, the second best animated Batman for the Dark Knight Returns. Just saying. And yeah, Peter Weller as Admiral Marcus, he kicked ass.
Absolutely.
So,
But no, we'll start from the beginning, which I loved, by the way.
yes.
Well, at the time, Ancient Aliens was really big. Well, it still is, but like, so I kind of got like the Buckaroo Banzai, yeah.
Fook Norris, yes. Thank you for reminding me of that. That's a movie I have not reviewed. How have I not reviewed that movie?
That's a good question.
I gotta get. First I gotta get a copy. First you gotta get a copy, then you gotta watch it, then you gotta review it.
Very true.
You know, it's kind of like that line from Scarface. First you get the money, then you get the power, then you get the woman.
There you go. The world.
Yeah.
But no, so anyways, it starts off kind of with this like Ancient Aliens type thing where, they're doing observations on this planet, and they're trying to stop a volcano from killing the stuff, breaking the Prime Directive, mind you. But no, I got Ancient Aliens vibes of that because when they brought the ship up out of the water, which I thought was pretty cool, they ended up like drawing the Enterprise in rocks on the ground.
On the ground, yeah.
Cool.
And Fook Norris, thank you for that tip, bud. Appreciate it. So I'll definitely, I've got to check. Actually, I think I do want to get a copy of it. I'm gonna see if I can find it maybe secondhand somewhere because I love that movie, even though I've only seen it maybe like 2 or 3 times in my entire life. But yeah, honestly, the beginning of this movie actually reminded me of a mini version of an episode of the original series. Because if you think about it, they're on a planet. They shouldn't necessarily be there. They're trying to evade the locals. And you've got some sort of catastrophe going on. They're trying to save the planet. And it just kind of opens after they get off the planet. And I'll say this. And yes, I know people are going to go, well, he did the last thing in Rise of Skywalker. I don't care about Rise of Skywalker. We're talking about this movie. Seeing the Enterprise rise out of the ocean was freaking badass. There, I said
Very
it.
true. Very true. I agree. Howbeit scientifically unrealistic, but still badass.
Who cares if it's scientifically realistic? It's science fiction. This is the future. If we can build this. Yeah, well, all Star Trek fans are not cut from the same cloth. Some are rather rational.
No, this
others
is very true.
Some are rather rational. Some are angry old boomers who need to get laid.
Well, I'm sorry, but this movie brings out the boomer in me. Okay, when I went and saw 2 episodes or 2 movies that day, and Pain and Gain was the better of the 2. No, I'm just kidding. But anyways, after that, the Enterprise gets after they put a cold fusion device and stop the volcano and take off to history, they get recalled back to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
We get to see Bruce Greenwood's Christopher Pike again.
Bruce Greenwood is always awesome. The dude played Kennedy.
Facts.
Just FYI, review for that movie coming up on the Ambassador Wing in the near future.
Oh, I could see that.
Well, I'm gonna do a review for 13 days. I'm gonna probably wait.
There you go.
I'm kind of branching out a little bit. I mean, it may be history, but it's also part of popular culture because, well, Kennedy, Camelot, the whole shebang. So, but anyway, yeah, Bruce Greenwood as Admiral Pike. I'm gonna say this. I think his Pike's better than the original because this Pike at least is a badass. The other one was just kind of, hi, I'm the guy that's gonna play Jesus in King of Kings. Although great movie too. Well, Jeffrey Hunter did play Captain Pike in the pilot for Star Trek, and then he went on to do King of Kings, where he played Christ.
Yeah.
And people are like, what
This is
the hell is the ambassador talking about?
But I mean, this is also when we kind of get introduced to, Admiral RoboCop, as he was
Yeah.
so lovingly called.
Or Admiral
And
Bruce Wayne.
I like the Easter egg of the NX-01 that you get to see. It's sitting on
Oh,
his
yeah.
desk, and the camera
Yeah.
pans by it, and you can
Yeah.
see what are the Enterprise.
Yeah, from Enterprise. Well, you also see the Phoenix, and you also see the Vengeance. And
True.
I'll just say that I'm gonna say this: I want the freaking Vengeance as my flagship. That thing's badass.
It's okay. Yeah, I liked it. My first impressions of it were pretty decent, but then like I don't know, it's really weird. Like the Kelvin universe, especially within the darkness, it's like I fight so hard to suppress that inner boomer Trek fan of me. And I'm just like,
Well,
don't get mad because it's new and different. Don't get mad because it's new and different. It's like, no.
well, it's almost okay. In this particular instance, I'm like Spock. You're like McCoy. We just need a Kirk.
There you go.
We need somebody that's kind of in the middle. Because I'm very like rational and reasonable, but I still have joy. And you're like McCoy, who's always grumpy.
I'm struggling with my passions in this movie.
Yes, you really are.
I've been thinking about it all day too. I'm like, oh man, I got to talk about Star Trek Into Darkness.
I'm
Ooh,
sorry.
Star Trek
If I
Into
knew of
Darkness.
anybody else that I could.
Oh no. This is why I'm here, for the good conversations.
I know.
Maybe I could change my mind by the end of it. Probably not going to happen.
It could happen. Well, look, go ahead.
But I mean, it's interesting. But back to the movie, anyways. We get
Yes.
the wonderful meeting at Starfleet HQ with all the admirals and all that kind of stuff. Uh, the assassination / terror attack by not Khan,
Mr. Khan.
not Khan.
Mr. Khan. I almost feel
Uh,
like I should say it like this. Excuse me, Mr. Khan, but where exactly from China are you from? I'm not from China. I'm from Laos.
from Laos.
If anybody gets that reference, you get a gold star and a cookie.
Oh, yeah, I do. I love that movie or TV show.
King of the Hill.
Dun, 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 dun. This is my last name, dude. And then, like,
I know.
I bear a striking resemblance to Bobby Hill too, minus the glasses.
Older Bobby Hill, who has known the love of a woman. Because Bobby was too young, even though he had a serious say for Connie.
This is true.
This is very shit.
I was shipping for them.
Everybody was shipping for Bobby and Con.
True.
Or Connie.
But no, they used something that was impractical to Star Trek and defeated the use of a starship, an intergalactic transporter.
Well, they did introduce it in the first movie, and it was Scotty's technology.
He was talking about transwarp beaming, not beaming all the way across the galaxy. Like, he was talking about beaming into another ship when it was moving while it was at warp.
But they were on a planet and they were stationary, so technically the principle still applies. They just brought Khan in to amp it up some.
And then we get to see some JJ Klingons because he goes to Kronos. That is
okay. I will say this.
Wrong.
I will say this. That is not how Kronos is spelled. It's spelled with a QU. Kronos Vol. Thank you, Star Trek 6 in this Undiscovered Country. And to the chat, Jeff and Price is Right Reviews, guys. Good to see you. So I'll bring up some of your comments, guys. Star Trek Into Darkness was all right. Perhaps unpopular opinion. I personally enjoyed Star Trek Beyond. Price, I have yet to see it. I would be watching it later this week or this coming week. And Cherie is like, oh, where'd it go? There she is. Smog is Khan. Yes. Yes, he was, and he was glorious as both.
Yeah. No, I agree. The Price is Right review. It was cool seeing the Klingons again, but asterisk. I did not like the look of them.
I like their design. Yes,
No,
Price.
and
Thank you.
they carried it on in Discovery.
That's what
And
I've
then they
heard. I still
changed
have
it.
not. I have not watched Discovery. I have not watched Picard. I'm just not interested. It's not that I hate the show. It's not like I'm some dude with a bucket on his head who hates everything. I'm not interested. So, sure. Oh God, Brian shivered. I'm sorry, Brian.
Yeah.
But getting into the movie, I think the title is very appropriate because if you think about this, the relationship between Spock and Kirk and Spock and Uhura is kind of going through a kind of dark period. Not to mention, you're seeing Starfleet being potentially turned into something it was never meant to be. And that was a militaristic organization. Although I will say, and I've had many people who are Star Trek fans, hardcore, not as much as me, who have said it was foolhardy for Starfleet not to have a military branch. And I agree.
Yeah,
You
this
can,
is true.
you're not gonna get you're not gonna be able to negotiate with everybody. People are just going to want to bash your head in with a bat lift or their fist or assimilate you.
Yeah, this is also true.
Sometimes you gotta have a big scary ship to blow the other ever living crap out of the other guy who wants to blow you up with their big scary ship.
Right.
Price is going into a little bit of a rage here.
No, he's not wrong.
And
Well, I mean, Discovery's not too bad. It just took a couple seasons to get going.
well, you can even say that of Next Generation. It took a couple of seasons for them to get their feet underneath them, even. But I would still say that there were good points to the first couple of seasons of Next Generation. So
yeah, it's not completely irredeemable.
No. And a familiar face to chat, Marcus Cruz. Marcus, good evening. And
hey, buddy.
I will say this, Marcus. I love with a big shiny L, love Star Wars. But I love Star Trek too. So, but hey, that's your opinion, dude, and you're entitled to it. And Marcus, thank you for popping in tonight. So, let's see. Price is Right. Some what you discover after seeing the Klingons. Just no, LOL. And another familiar face, just George.
Hey.
George, my friend. Good to see you, bud. Appreciate you stopping by tonight. Me and Brian are trying to struggle our way through the darkness of Into Darkness. Oh, Lord. What am I doing? Anyway. but and honestly,
yes,
Marcus, I'm not the person to ask that question to because I have not watched it. But the person to my left, you're right. The person to my left, you're right, would be the person to ask on that. So, Brian, Lower Decks, isn't he good?
Really good. Love it.
Marcus, and everybody else in the chat, there you go. And you're getting an opinion from somebody that is a hardcore. I mean, hardcore Trekkie.
Or I'm so hardcore. I even like the new stuff.
No, you're just more tolerant and accepting than a bunch of crusty old fuddy-duddies who just want to sit around in their helmets and their ugly pajamas and just be angry.
Bash away.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true.
So.
No, but yeah, and then on Kronos, the battle was pretty interesting between Khan and
all the Klingons
and Spock. Yeah, that part was pretty interesting. I enjoyed that.
Khan was a badass.
Yeah, he kind of like crushed uh, Admiral Marcus's head.
And that's impressive. And he almost, and if you notice, he was close to crushing poor old Spock's head too. When they were
Also true.
when they were flying on top of that flying garbage truck. And that's what they say it was. It was a flying garbage truck.
Yeah, more or less. I can see it. You think wouldn't have garbage trucks in that kind of future? But
Well,
hey,
I mean, well, I'm sure there is still some sort of refuse around. I mean, we haven't gone completely. I mean, it's only 22:59 for heaven's sake.
yeah.
Holy
This
crap.
is true. This is true.
This movie takes place in a similar timeline as Babylon 5, which starts in 22:59.
Yeah, no. See, okay.
Abrams!
Like I said, I'm fighting my urge to not like the movie, but
I know, dude. I know.
try
And
to
we
be
will get,
somewhat impartial.
dude, this is Brian, you know me. I know you. You know you don't have to put on your happy shiny face. If you want to be a little boomer ragey in the ambassadorial wing, you can do that here. And I
Oh,
will
we'll
think
get
no
there
less of you.
because one of my least favorite scenes in the entire movie is coming up.
Well, the thing about this movie that I found really interesting is it does beg the question: who ultimately was right? Was Marcus right in wanting to at least create a military arm of Starfleet or completely militarized Starfleet, or was he wrong? My personal
Uh,
opinion,
he wasn't wrong, but he chose poorly.
yeah, I think he definitely chose poorly because, well, you know, that kind of, I hate to say it this way, and I don't want to come off as cringy or whatever, but it kind of speaks to the mentality of the people that are running Starfleet at this time. And here's why I make
True.
that statement. It seems like in the future, we almost lose that soldier or warrior or militaristic mentality of our civilization. We've all become a bunch of tree hugging hippies.
More or less.
And while there isn't necessarily wrong with wanting to try and do things peaceably and diplomatically and not just go out and blow everything up, and granted, the ships are armed, but the problem is you need something that's going to have some teeth. Something that when it pops up on the bad guy's view screen, they're going to be like, good thing I wore my brown pants because we're about to get to blown the hell up.
Yeah, right. Good thing I wore the brown pants.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that for me, that's part of what the title of this movie, that's what it evokes. Starfleet going into a potentially darker um path
Oh, absolutely.
in its existence. So it's Shuri. Shuri.
Amen.
Hey, I'm a tree hugging hippie, but I'll still pick up a phaser when needed. Yeah, but here's the thing. Marcus realizes that Starfleet is woefully underprepared to fight off a more aggressive species like the Klingons. So when he sees the opportunity to defrost somebody that can do precisely that, he takes it. But he
True.
doesn't realize who he's dealing with.
Yeah,
Because
also true.
let's be honest here. Khan is the master manipulator. And even as sneaky and as sly as Admiral Marcus is, and no matter how awesome Peter Weller is, he got suckered. And he got suckered hard by somebody, I will say it. Khan was smarter than him.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
stronger and faster and, well, as he said, I was bred to be better. You kind of were. You're also bred to be a tyrant.
True that.
But at the same, I think this movie brings up just as a valid a philosophical point as Wrath of Khan does, and that is, of course, creating life essentially.
Yeah. No, that's
And
true with the Genesis device.
with the Genesis device. Now, a lot of people, and I'm sure there will be others besides us that will bring this point up. Which plot point was better? The militarization of Starfleet and how we deal with people from other centuries or people with different mentalities, or the idea that we have created technology that will create life? I think honestly both ideas have merit either way. And now, in terms of the execution, in terms of Wrath of Khan and Into Darkness, I think that execution for Into Darkness could have been a little more streamlined. Absolutely. You could have had a little less of the soap opera part with Uhura and Spock. Although I will say there was some funny moments in that particular plot point or storyline, and I did enjoy it. Kirk's like, you guys are really going to do that here now when we're trying to run away from, when we're trying not to get blown up by a bunch of angry hormonal Klingons.
Yeah, right. Of all the times, guys.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, it does. Go ahead, Brian.
Well, I never had an issue with their relationship, like Spock
I
and
didn't
Uhura.
either.
I always thought that was pretty decent. But no, the Khan reveal pissed me off because that was when I got rickrolled and I didn't like it.
And and I can understand where you're coming from. Myself, it never bothered me because here's the thing: the Khan we knew, the Ricardo Montalban Khan Noonien Singh, still exists. This is just a different adaptation of that character.
It's a variant.
It's yeah, exactly. It's a variant. It's a variant version because obviously we're in a variant timeline where the Enterprise never came across the USS Botany Bay or anything else. And I had my criticism of Spock or Spock Prime not telling them more about Khan, but at the same time, I can kind of understand why, because he wouldn't want any information that he gives out to potentially influence how they deal with this version of Khan. Because these two Khans are completely different from one another.
Yeah.
This Khan is on his own. He's desperate. He's in a corner, and he's going to do anything and everything he can to survive and save the life of his crew. Granted, we know that his crew are all morally reprehensible individuals, but still, to look at it this way, all life is sacred.
True.
Even if it is genetically engineered. So, and I'll bring up. Yeah, Price. Yeah, that dude. You're talking to a kid of the '80s. Of course, I know that Marcus is Officer Murphy from RoboCop. So, but I'll bring up your other comment here, Price. I personally like Kirk learning to understand and respect his rank in the chair, taking up the full responsibility. Yeah. And I will say this, and Brian, I understand your criticism. I even critique the ever living crap out of this too, but I will say this. I think the change of it being Kirk instead of Spock that sacrifices himself, even though technically he really doesn't, but with him being willing to take that step where he realizes that there is a situation where he can't come out of it unscathed, and he does make that ultimate sacrifice to save his crew. I really liked it. I thought it was a good. I thought it was a good. I thought it was a good point. I do understand the criticism of how they framed or how they shot and choreographed the whole sequence, but at the same time, does it diminish it or diminish the original? No, because the original stands unto itself. It is a truly iconic scene in pop culture and in science fiction.
Yeah.
But the other big thing for me with Kirk's arc in this movie is the fact that he's having to understand finally that there are consequences to what you do. And sometimes you can't escape those consequences no matter how clever or how smart or how brave you are. And
Yeah.
that's why, despite some of the flaws in this film, and there are flaws, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, I did enjoy it. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
so
No, it's
but I'll bring up Price's comment here. Wouldn't you say this con is the prequel of cons we see in the Kirk Star Trek film? Um, no, I don't want to say, I wouldn't say that necessarily, Price, because here's the thing. This particular universe exists on a different timeline from the main Star Trek timeline. So, no, Price, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but back, I think it was like in the late 90s or early 2000s, they did a prequel comic book or a gap fill comic book that does deal with Khan and his group on SETI Alpha 5
yeah.
and everything that happens in the time in between when they're left there and the events of Wrath of Khan. It's actually a really good read. The artwork is, I think, very, very well done. So I would highly recommend checking it out. So I think you can probably find it on, I know for a fact you can find it on Amazon. So, but I'll bring up your other comment here, Price. For me, I personally would have loved to have have them met and interact with Q in contrast with the other Star Trek captains. Yeah, I I don't know if Q would particularly fit in this particular time period because,
Why wouldn't he?
well, here's the thing though. Who do you get to play Q for
John
this time
Delancey?
period?
John Delancey?
Yeah, John Delancey. I mean, obviously, but the question becomes, well, the real question becomes, how's he going to act alongst? Here's the thing. Kirk and Picard are two completely different captains, two completely different personalities. I don't think Kirk would tolerate Q as much as Picard did. I think he would have been a lot more hostile.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's the whole thing with me in terms of,
Oh,
I think Kirk would have been like, get off my ship, you.
he'd have been more like Cisco handling it instead.
Yeah. Yeah, he would like, Picard never
Picard
punched
never
me.
hit me. I'm not
I'm not
Picard.
Picard. So
Yep.
doesn't have to be Q from TNG, just a new actor who can be Q. Yeah, but the unfortunate thing is, Price, I don't think we're going to be getting any more Star Trek films for a while, sadly, because as much as I'm looking forward to watching Beyond, it didn't do particularly well, and I think Paramount has kind of gone in a similar direction as Star Wars has, and they're going to stick to having Star Trek on streaming and in syndication, which is not a bad thing. I'm going to go out on a limb and say this. I think some of the most successful Star Trek films dealt with the original cast. because they had a chemistry, they had really strong personalities, they were really interesting to interact with. And as much as I like the next generation of films for what they are, the new generation cast didn't have that same magnetism and that same mystique that the original series cast did. So,
Yes and no.
well, I mean, across the board, I mean, you ask anybody to rattle off the names of the main cast from the original Star Trek, the original series, they can do it in a heartbeat. And most people will say, "Well, this is my favorite, and that's my favorite, and this person's my particular favorite character." As much as I love Next Generation, and I really do, I love Next Generation. Some of the characters were just kind of bland and kind of boring, and their storylines got kind of repetitive after a while. Like it seemed like every time it was a Geordi centered episode, he would get kidnapped, or he would get hurt, or he would get wounded, or something along those lines, or something wrong with the ship. And yeah, I get he's the chief engineer, and that's kind of what he does, but they could have done something different with Geordi.
Yeah.
Just saying.
No, he was well, think about it though. That was such a large ensemble with 6 to
Yes.
7 characters. How in the hell are you gonna give everybody their just desserts and time in the sunlight?
That's true. Well, I think that's the good thing with the new Trek films. They kept it focused on the core group: Kirk, Spock, Uhura, and McCoy, and Scotty, and Chekhov. And damn, it still makes me sad that the guy that played Chekhov is dead, because he was so good
Yeah,
as Chekhov.
Anton Yeshin.
Anton Yelchin, yeah, he was so good as Chekhov. Damn it! Why all the good ones die young?
Yeah, it happens.
Yes. So, but honestly, to kind of steer this back on track, for me, I had to ask myself this question in terms of preparing myself to watch this movie. Am I going to try and compare this to Wrath of Khan, or am I going to try and look at it as its own independent thing? And I'm like, I'm going to try and look at this from its own independent thing, even though knowing what I know about it now. And to be perfectly truthful, the only part of this movie that really reflects or mirrors Wrath of Khan is obviously the villain or villains, in particular with Khan, and then the one scene. Other than that, it's a completely different movie altogether. So, honestly, what they did with this film, I think there was a lot of new and fresh stuff in it that made it interesting. And it wasn't just a rehash of Wrath of Khan from start to finish.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, obviously we had Carol Marcus in there, but it was a completely different Carol Marcus. This was somebody that had no connection to Kirk whatsoever.
None.
She had a connection to the main bad guy.
I don't know, man. I don't even like trying to make comparisons with those two movies because they're just so polar opposite. Like the theme of Wrath of Khan is age. It's getting old.
Yeah.
Like death and rebirth. That's what that movie's about. This one is kind of all over the place. I mean, yeah, sure, the first theme is the militarization of Starfleet, but they kind of just abandoned that whole shtick as soon as you find out that it's Khan. And then it's like, well, what happened with Khan in the last movie? Oh, let's try to make it like the other one. It's just like, dude, this is ridiculous, man. Like the torpedoes having all of his crew in there, and then I don't know. It's just it's so I don't want to use the term lazy because that in itself is lazy, but it's just so asinine. I don't even want to God dang, man, they really screwed the pooch with this movie. I'm sorry.
No,
Like
and
they
hey,
did it so bad that I didn't even want to go see Beyond.
and hey, like I said, Brian, you don't have to sugarcoat how you feel about this movie here. You're not
Oh,
gonna
I'm
hurt my
not. I'm
feelings.
not. I just there's being such a fan of Star Trek 2 and then
Yeah,
just knowing how this movie just ugh, subverts the whole gosh darn thing. It's like I just don't. It's almost unforgivable. But then I have to remind myself that this franchise is about having an open mind and about looking to the future with an open mind. So that means
yeah,
accepting new things. Uh, I just no, it really bothered me. Like I was upset because of the con thing because I felt lied to. And then
I get
after the
that.
con reveal, the movie just totally takes a complete 180 where we get this weird like parasailing scene where they got to go back onto the Devastator or whatever the hell. And
The
it's just like
Vengeance.
the Vengeance. And it's just like, all right, all right. That was cool action scene, I guess.
Yeah, it was. Well, and Brian, here's the thing. I understand everything you're saying, and I can't say I necessarily disagree with it. And I don't. But at the same time, I'm trying to look at this from the aspect of what kind of like the way a lot of people look at, say, for instance, Last Jedi. Divorce it from the universe in which it belongs, and it's a perfectly good film. But plug it into the broader universe, and it's a complete and utter and total failure. And I can understand why a lot of hardcore and even just semi passionate fans of Star Trek, particularly with the original series, would be upset with what they did in this movie. And this is not going to turn into a J.J. Abrams bashing session by any stretch, because that's not how I operate. Most of you know this. Do I think maybe Abrams should have kept his focus on one particular aspect of this movie and just zoomed in on it and stayed there? Yes, I do. I wholeheartedly do. You know, but at the same time, there are aspects of this movie that I did find entertaining, that I did enjoy, but I'm not going to tell another person, particularly you, who I consider a good close friend, that your perspective is without merit. It is most definitely without merit. It most definitely has merit. And
Oh, absolutely. It's just, and I'm not the only one that thinks this way, but
oh, I'm sure.
I don't know, man.
No, let me see if
It's got nice action. Okay, I like that.
yeah,
Everything looks, spectacular. It's just
yes.
the storyline behind, you know,
The
Khan, and
storyline,
then as
yeah.
soon as they got into the two opposing ships, it was just like, okay, here we go. Just,
Well, here's I'll try. I think I'll try and paraphrase or summarize what you're trying to say. This the spectacle of the movie holds up extraordinarily well, but the backbone, the story itself, is severely lacking.
yes, that's my issue. I have major problems with the story. The movie
Yeah,
looks great. It's just like, come on, dude. Like I've already seen this twice or before with Star Trek Nemesis, which was as soon as they got into opposing ships in a nebula, it was basically Star Trek Wrath of Khan again because Data sacrificed himself. It's just like,
although I will admit I did enjoy Star Trek Nemesis because of one particular reason. Tom freaking Hardy, and yes, that's his
yeah,
middle name.
no, I think that was his first like
That was his
major.
first major role, and he did. I think he did a spectacular job as Shinzon, or the clone of Picard, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah,
So
if they ever did like a Picard prequel series, I'd love to have Tom Hardy play it.
if he would come back. I think, but at this point in his career, I don't know if he would necessarily come back. Even though it would
You
be
never
cool
know.
to see him come back to that, but at the same time, he's doing Venom, and I'm happy with him doing Venom.
That
So,
is true. He's on to bigger, better things.
yes, that is, yeah, absolutely. But, honestly, for me, the movie, I saw what they were trying to do, and if I had the time, I would go back and rewrite the script for the way I would want to see it done, or how I would want it played out, kind of like what I did with my fan fiction for Star Wars, which I am still working on. That project has not stopped. But maybe I would have cut a lot of the fat out of this film and had it just focus on the whole concept of the militarization of Starfleet and have the movie focused around that. And you could still have the subplot of Kirk coming to grips with the fact that he doesn't take his responsibilities as captain as seriously as he should. And maybe have that be tied into the whole main plot of Starfleet doesn't need to be isn't meant to be a militaristic organization, and have it kind of go back to him thinking about his father. Would his father want this sort of thing to happen to Starfleet? And maybe have a flashback of a conversation that we didn't see, like that was in between movies between him and Pike, where that particular discussion comes up, and even have an even further. And none of these scenes have to be particularly long. I mean, dialogue scenes aren't necessarily particularly long, but have him and Spock and McCoy, or maybe just Kirk and Spock, hashing this out and discussing it. Maybe even have Carol Marcus in there as well, and her saying, "Well, hey guys, here's the thing. My dad's building a fleet of ships, or is building a ship for precisely this purpose, or he's had me working on stuff in relation to militarizing Starfleet." I mean, honestly, the potential for how they could have cut a lot of the fat out of this movie and had it a lot more streamlined is massive. So, anything anything I just said resonate with you, Brian?
I mean, a little bit of it. It's all about like a certain perspective and how we view things. Uh, I don't know. It's really hard.
I understand. Well,
but,
and go ahead.
but I mean, all in all, I just sorry, dude. My team lost, so I'm a little down in the dumps at the moment.
Oh no,
Yeah. So
they did.
anywho, yeah, no, it's all
Brian,
good
dude,
though.
I'm sorry.
I know how to
Foreigners,
handle loss. I'm just gonna.
yeah, you had to sit through the Rise of Skywalker. We all lost in that movie.
Okay, that's comparable. Okay, it's comparable.
Now you just have to learn to lose, just like Kirk did.
I did that in 2019, 2013. I used to my team losing, dude.
Granted, we'll question just how bad was it.
It was only by 3 points, but our quarterback sucks.
Oh,
We had an opportunity to
those
come
those
back,
those
and
are the
Jimmy
losses.
Garoppolo did what he does best: is throw an interception when the chips are down.
Oh,
So,
dude, I am those are the losses that I heard when it's that close.
sorry, that's why I haven't been very talkative.
No, Brian, it's okay, dude. I understand.
But I don't
Hey,
know.
been there, done that. I have been a lifelong watcher slash fan of the Colts, so I understand. Believe me, I
Yeah.
understand.
This is no, it's okay. So back to Into Darkness. So where are we on? Were we on the skull crushing yet with
We
Admiral
can be
Marcus?
if that would make you feel better.
Ah,
You can,
yes, good
hey,
old skull
you
crushing
can
and some
pretend
ass kicking.
you can pretend that you're Khan, and you can pretend that the other person that made your team lose is Admiral Marcus.
There you
There,
go.
does that make you feel better?
Squeeze his head, make his eyeballs pop out. Never mind. It's like the Vice scene in Casino.
Casino. Yeah,
I
that's a
love
movie
that
I've
movie,
never
by the
actually
way.
watched all the way through.
What? Oh man, it's like up there in
Again,
terms of
it's
my favorite mob movies of all time.
let me guess the other one's Goodfellas.
Goodfellas, The Godfather. Donnie Brasco's pretty good.
Another one I've never. Okay, I've seen pieces of Donnie Brasco, but I've never watched it all the way through. Isn't that the one with
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp and Al Pacino?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. Could you imagine Al Pacino in a Star Trek movie?
Yeah. Oh man.
Captain's
No.
log, star date. Hoo ha!
Hoo-ah!
Hoo ha!
Gosh.
No, even better. Johnny Depp as Captain Kirk. And he act,
He'd just be sitting
but here's
back doing
but
drugs.
he acts like Captain Jack Sparrow.
Oh God. I'm Captain James C. Kirk. Why is all the rum gone?
No, better. Why are all the cat girls gone?
Yeah, right.
Because
Where's
you
the
remember
green
that one scene.
ladies?
No, because you remember the beginning of this movie. Kirk's in bed with a pair of feline aliens, two girls, because they both have
Yeah.
cat tails.
Very
I'm
true.
And, oh my gosh, no, they didn't. Oh gosh, why they no? The weirdo cat lady from Star Trek Final Frontier in the nasty bar on Nimbus 3.
Yeah, right.
And supposedly no, that was just a bit off of another channel's video. Oh my gosh. I've got an idea. Let's make actual cat people, but they're aliens. JJ, are you sure? Yes. Okay. Special effects. Yeah, JJ wants to put some feline aliens in the movie. No, women. Yeah, he's going that weird and that creepy. I don't know. The guy's got weird hair and he wears glasses. Sorry, that was a tangent, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. That's all right.
Well, it can't be any worse than the 30-second shot of Carol Marcus in her underwear. Okay, that was okay. I will say this. That one particular clip is completely and utterly worthless in the movie.
Yeah, that's true. All of them. Spock yelling Khan.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I will admit, okay. As much as I enjoyed this movie, I will say this. I found that particular part very, very, very cringeworthy.
Yeah. No. I actually I spoke out in the theater.
You haven't earned the right to say that line.
Nope, not earned.
You are not William Shatner. You're Zachary Quinto, who played what's his face off Heroes.
Right.
You've not earned. You have not earned the right to deliver that line. Only William Shatner or James Tiberius Kirk can deliver that line.
This is true. This is true. No, as soon as he started running down to when the ship was in danger, and I saw him start running for the engine bay, I'm just like, oh no, they're not gonna do that. Oh,
Yeah. When I was
oh.
watching the movie this afternoon, I was like, okay, I know what is about to happen. I am going to brace myself for this so I do not overreact like I did when I tried to rewatch Last Jedi, because I quite literally and deliberately, I was like, I got 5 minutes into the movie and Poe did the Yo Mama joke. I was like, nope, I can't do it. Off. I'm stopping. I am stopping this horrendous movie before I subject myself to another second of it.
Yeah, so you know how I feel.
Yes, I know
Okay,
exactly
so how
how
I
you
feel about Star Trek Into Darkness is exactly how you feel about
Last
Star Wars:
Jedi.
The Last Jedi. Okay, and it's for the same exact reasons you don't like it, because it destroys everything. And then the funny part is the character arc from this movie with Kirk is completely forgotten in the next one. So I'm just like, oh gosh, these movies are sometimes very painful to deal with.
Brian, you're making me not want to watch this movie now. Why are you doing this to me?
It's good, but I don't see Captain Kirk being that way. That's just all I'll say. I'm not going to spoil the movie for you.
Brian, you're making this very hard. That's what she said.
Ha!
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh,
it is.
good grief.
Oh.
Oh, good grief.
Excellent.
Brian,
Oh,
this is what happens. This is what happens when you and I review bad. Okay, not like
not a bad movie, but like a movie that's kind of divisive, I guess is the best way to put it.
A movie that's kind of subpar.
Yeah.
A movie that makes you go into the darkest parts of your mind. Of your mind.
Yeah. Mission accomplished, I guess. Good job, JJ.
Look, I don't hate J.J. Abrams. I don't even despise a J.J. Abrams. To me, J.J. Abrams is like a nephew, and I'm his uncle, and I just want to look him in the eye and say, JJ, I'm not mad at you. I'm just really, really, really disappointed.
Yeah, I agree. That's how I felt when I left the theater after this movie was over. It was kind of a hollow feeling. I really wanted to go home and watch Star Trek 2 to see a proper death scene.
Kind of like after I left The Rise of Skywalker, the one and only time I watched it in theaters. We have it on Blu-ray and 4K.
There you go.
And I have not brought myself to even take it out of the freaking case. It's unwrapped. It's unwrapped.
There you go. That's a start, I guess.
But I can't even bring myself. Don't you dare do it, woman.
Hey, it's my movie.
Yes, it is your movie, which says a lot about you. Grant, you did marry me. That's a good choice.
There you go, so you can see in all your glory. See how beautiful the design is? And you bought it for me.
If you hear a blood curdling scream in just a minute, it's because I'm about to have a nervous breakdown.
Here's the one that you bought for yourself.
Hi, Daniel Martin. Good to see you. For those of you who are wondering who was that female voice that was speaking just a minute ago, that was Madam Ambassador. You will never be hearing from her ever again after this stream.
Why the heck not?
you don't stop it, I am going to turn the camera on and I will turn it towards you.
I don't care. I'm decent.
Well, this stream just went off the rails, ladies and gentlemen.
That's all right. Just like the movie did in the last act.
I know, right? Okay, yes, I know. Look, people, you know me. You know, I tried to look for good stuff. I tried to look for the good in any movie, and there is good stuff in this movie. But I'm going to go on a bit of a rant for just a few minutes, so please bear with me, Brian, you as well. Do I acknowledge that there's problems with the third act of this movie? Yes, I do. Wholeheartedly, I agree. Do I think it is a blatant and utter ripoff of Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, which is a far superior film? Yes, I do. Does it make me disappointed in J.J. Abrams? Yes, it does. Do I want to personally look J.J. Abrams in the eye like a disappointed father or uncle and say, J.J., pull your head out of your ass, quit copying other directors who do a better job, and do your own shit? That's what, if I had the opportunity to see J.J. Abrams in real life, I wouldn't hurt him. I wouldn't assault him or anything, but I would give him a verbal tongue lashing like the likes of which he would never have experienced in his life, and that he will never forget until his dying breath. Now, that also being said, and this is the one and only time I'm going to relitigate this whole point. Do I hate The Rise of Skywalker with every fiber of my being? Yes. But do I blame the cast or crew for that film and how it turned out? No. Why? One word, one name, 2 syllables. Well, multiple syllables. Rian Johnson. Because Rian Johnson put J.J. Abrams and his cast and his crew in a next to impossible position. Because, Brian, with all due respect to you as my friend, I will say this. The Last Jedi makes no bloody sense. And I don't care how much some Nazarene pastor is going to try and debate me on this point, and you know who I'm talking about, and everybody in the chat knows who I'm talking about, will try to convince me that how Luke Skywalker acted in this movie makes logical sense. It doesn't. Rian Johnson is a hack of a writer, and J.J. Abrams paid the price for the fact that Rian Johnson is a hack of a writer. And not to mention, J.J. Abrams, as much as I like some of his work, him being the somewhat limited director that he is, was never going to be able to pull off a satisfactory conclusion to the sequel trilogy.
No, I got you there.
Even Nicholas Meyer, one of the kings of science fiction, particularly if you were a Star Trek fan, could not have made sense out of that, made a better conclusion, because he even would have looked at Rian Johnson and said, dude, are you on crack? And if so, how much were you smoking when you wrote the script for your movie?
Right.
And I would say the same damn thing. Rian Johnson, how much crack did you do when you were writing the script for The Last Jedi?
A lot.
Apparently, he did a lot of hardcore crack, probably smoking off the back of a $200 a night escort, we'll say politely. It's like, this is utterly brilliant. I'm the greatest writer and director of all time, and all I've ever done is a subpar time travel movie called Looper that starred Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Bruce Willis.
Yeah, I never watched that movie.
I have never watched that movie. I have no intention of ever watching that movie. I have no intention of ever watching anything ever done by Rian Johnson for the rest of my natural life. I would rather have my balls smashed with a wooden mallet than watch anything Rian Johnson ever writes, directs, or produces. Ever. Till the end of time.
All right.
We're going there. I'm going hardcore.
Oh, it's all good. I do have to get going pretty soon because
Yeah, I know.
I
It's
got
okay.
dinner actually
So
as well.
anyway, okay. I know
But-
this was a bit of a rant, and I know we went off of a tangent, but I think we've said pretty much everything that can be said about Star Trek Into Darkness, both good and bad. So
No, that's true. I
anyway,
mean, we maintained a fairly positive narrative towards it. I mean, I have my issues with it, but that's okay. I didn't like the Khan's magic blood. I thought that was pretty stupid.
yes,
Like how they brought Kirk back to life was really convoluted.
convoluted.
Yeah,
What happened to Spock made more sense in Wrath of Khan.
this is also true.
He got shot to the Genesis planet. The Genesis planet regenerated his body, and poof, you've got a regenerated Spock, even though he was younger. And, well, he got to finger that nice Vulcan lady.
Yeah, I did.
Yes, I
Got the
did.
pon-
I said
he
it.
got the Pon Far hard. Man.
He got the Pong Far fever. Sadly, it wasn't with Christy Alley, it was with Robin Curtis. But hey, Robin Curtis has a stand in Savick.
I
She's
think
cute.
she's a bit of an upgrade, honestly. And not only that, but Robin Curtis came back in Next Generation. So
That's right, she did. She came back for the one. She came back a couple of times, I think.
she came back for the episode The Chase.
Yes, yes, yeah.
She played the Romulan.
Yeah. Yeah, that was like a 3-parter.
It was a 2-parter.
Was
yeah.
it a 2-parter? Okay, I can't remember if it was a 2 or 3-parter. Okay.
Well, it was the one where Picard was like pretending to be a mercenary.
Yeah,
it was on
yeah,
an
I remember that. I
archaeological
actually really
type
liked
thing.
that one. I really liked that one, especially the conclusion and everything, where Riker tells Data to take Picard to the brig.
Yeah,
So-
and he holds on to him.
He's
and
like,
Data, we're just playing.
Data, he was joking. Data, Commander, the brig's this way. And to everybody in the chat, Daniel Martin, DJ Ozzy, and the lovely Sherry. Good evening. Good to see you all.
Hey,
You're kind of catching the tail end of this one and everything, because, well, as Brian said, he's got to leave in a few minutes and everything. And honestly, we have covered both the good and bad. Just like the facts of life.
yeah,
You take
it's true.
the good, you take the bad, and there you got the facts of life. The facts of life. When it's time to grow and show, it's all about the facts of life. The facts of life. Okay, I'm going to stop before I get a copyright claim. Anyway.
Nice.
Daniel Martin. Into Darkness was like Star Trek's greatest hits. All put into one movie. Tribbles con, Kirk dies instead of Spock. Peace.
That's in a nutshell. Like that's the movie.
Yes, it is. Oh Lord.
Yeah, we didn't even need to talk about this for an hour. We could have summed it up in 10 seconds.
Yeah, but it was fun regardless.
No, this is true.
So, and this helps you cope with the fact that the 49ers lost. And dude, I am very sorry that the 49ers lost.
It happens, man. That's part of being a sports fan. You get over it and move on.
Now, why can't the Star Wars fan base do the same damn thing?
Because they're not sports fans.
No,
In
they're geeks.
In general. That's why.
Well, but what is a sports fan but just a different brand of geek?
No, this is also true, but I think the fact that there's always a next year has a lot to do with it.
That is true. And we sometimes forget that in pop culture, there's always a next movie.
This is true. Unless we're talking about Snyder in DC. That I have.
Oh, don't.
I was just kidding. That was.
I know you are. I know you are. And hey, dude, I can't say I disagree with you because honestly, I'm going to start calling him he that doesn't need to be named anymore.
Yeah, right. He who I'm tired of hearing his name brought up into everyday conversation.
And doesn't need to be, and doesn't even logically fit.
No, it really doesn't.
DJ Odyssey, are you saying Star Wars fans are chronic master? That's not even how you spelled that word, DJ. Jeez.
Yeah.
That's not even
You
how
know.
you spelled that. And you're a guy, you should know how to spell that. Oh, Lord. Well, anyways, folks, I think we are going to wrap up for this evening. But, Brian, thank you, bud, for joining me tonight. And I hope that we were able to. I lost my talk points. DJ, that doesn't surprise me. Anyway, Brian, my friend, thank you for joining me tonight, and I hope that this maybe took the edge off a little bit. Hope we were able to have a little
fun.
laugh, even though the fact that your Niners lost. And again, my most sincerest condolences on that.
Yeah.
So,
no,
but as you said,
we'll be fine.
there's always next year.
Yep.
Oh Lord, teach.
My goodness.
He's Deej. If you want to do that, go do it on your own time. Don't do it here on my. Don't do it here in. Don't do it here in my chat. Oh, Daniel, it's this one. I mean, the last 20 to 30 minutes or so. Deej, we don't need to know how you got carpal tunnel. We get it. You were. Let's see. What's a
Stroking the
making
salami.
You were loading your photon torpedoes into launch position.
Oh Jesus!
Where? Blasphemer.
Right.
Anyways, folks, me and Brian, of course, will be back next week to wrap up our new Trek sci-fi movie review series with, of course, Star Trek Beyond, and I'll be putting out some notifications on all my social medias, letting you know what I've got coming up later, coming up next month, February, the month of love, which we're going to celebrate with something not quite. Oh, for the love of. Okay, we're going to get out here for these. Really.
Yeah, bye.
Okay. Everybody, you have a great night. We will see you next time. And remember, stay ambassadorial.
Word.
Be ambassadorial. Be cool. And these are the ambassadors. Signing off.